When examining why Jungkook of BTS is outshining US pop stars on their own turf, the first point that consistently emerges is his ability to move seamlessly between cultures. The American music market has long been notoriously difficult for non-US acts to penetrate, let alone dominate. Historically, the US industry has been both a gatekeeper and trendsetter, often shaping global tastes in pop music, hip-hop, R&B, and rock. Yet, Jungkook has managed to bypass the traditional barriers that once limited international artists. His success reveals not just a personal achievement, but also a cultural shift. American audiences are increasingly open to voices from outside their borders. For decades, artists from outside the United States struggled to find recognition in the American mainstream. British acts like the Beatles, Adele, and Ed Sheeran are exceptions, largely due to linguistic and cultural proximity. Latin music made strides with artists like Shakira, Ricky Martin, and most recently Bad Bunny. But the expansion into US pop radio and streaming charts has always been a long uphill battle. Asian acts, by comparison, rarely broke through. While Japanese city pop or K-pop had niche followings, they rarely gained sustainable mainstream presence. Jungkook, however, enters this arena under different conditions. His foundation with BTS already gave him a global audience, and he built upon that momentum strategically. Instead of being introduced as a foreign novelty, he emerged as a globally relevant artist whose work resonates with the same audiences that tune into American pop radio. This difference in positioning is critical. Jungkook is not being treated as an outsider trying to enter the club. He is already in the club, dictating trends alongside the very stars who once dominated without competition. A major obstacle for non-English artists is the language barrier. American radio stations and mainstream media historically favored English-language songs. For many artists, this meant either switching to English or being relegated to specialized categories. BTS, including Jungkook, disrupted this formula by proving that fans were willing to engage with music regardless of language. Hits like Dynamite and Butter strategically used English lyrics, but by then, the groundwork was already laid. Audiences had embraced BTS even when they primarily sang in Korean. Jungkook's solo work and collaborations show that he understands the delicate balance between authenticity and accessibility. He navigates seamlessly between Korean and English without diluting his identity. Unlike some artists who might fully abandon their native language to appeal to American audiences, Jungkook embodies a dual presence. This crossover approach doesn't just appeal to bilingual or global listeners, it also challenges the assumption that English must dominate the US charts. By doing so, Jungkook sets a new precedent that even US press pop stars cannot replicate, because for them, English is the default, not a choice. Another reason for Jungkook's dominance is how well he leverages streaming platforms, which are now the backbone of the American music industry. The old model, dominated by radio airplay and label gatekeeping, has been disrupted by Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube. This democratization means that fan bases have more power than ever to propel an artist forward. BTS fans, known for their strategic streaming practices, carried this culture into Jungkook's solo career. But what's important here is not just raw numbers, it's consistency and cross-platform dominance. While many US pop stars rely heavily on marketing pushes or viral TikTok moments, Jungkook's presence is sustained by global communities working in sync. In this sense, his rise in America is not accidental, but the result of a structural shift in how music is consumed. Interestingly, this puts American pop stars at a disadvantage on their own turf. Many of them are still reliant on traditional US industry machinery, major labels dictating release strategies, media appearances, and promotions. Jungkook, however, moves with an entirely different infrastructure, one that blends global fandom with digital-first momentum. As a result, he bypasses many of the bottlenecks that slow down US acts. Another layer of Jungkook's cultural crossover power lies in his visual branding. In American pop culture, image has always been as important as sound. Michael Jackson had his signature style. Madonna reinvented herself constantly. Lady Gaga crafted theatrics into a brand. Harry Styles leans on gender-fluid fashion. Jungkook taps into this tradition, but brings with him a distinctly Korean discipline in performance and aesthetics. Partnerships with global brands, such as Calvin Klein, amplify his presence. These collaborations don't just introduce him to fashion-conscious audiences, but also reinforce his place in American pop culture as more than a singer. In the US, where celebrity culture thrives on multidimensional branding, Jungkook is playing the game effectively. His image, whether in a music video, photo shoot, or stage performance, circulates widely across American media outlets, ensuring he remains part of the cultural conversation. The most overlooked yet powerful element in Jungkook's rise in America is the cultural capital of ARMY, BTS's fandom. Unlike many fan bases that concentrate locally, ARMY operates globally, creating unified campaigns that ripple into the US market. This means Jungkook isn't just relying on American listeners to support him, he has a network of fans worldwide whose collective impact translates directly into US visibility. This global-to-local strategy is something American pop stars struggle to replicate. While many US artists certainly have international fans, they often build from a domestic base first. Jungkook's trajectory is the reverse. He arrives in America with global backing already in motion. The result is a phenomenon that US pop stars cannot easily mirror because their entry into foreign markets is typically slower and less coordinated. Jungkook's cultural crossover power forces a reconsideration of what it means to succeed in America. Success in the US market was once defined by local validation radio plays, chart rankings, award shows, but Jungkook demonstrates that success can now be measured globally first and then reflected domestically. American audiences are no longer the sole arbiters of what counts as pop dominance. This shift is significant because it decentralizes cultural authority. Jungkook is not adopted by America. Instead, America participates in a global movement already in progress. This is why his dominance feels different from earlier international artists who had to bend to US industry standards. He is not merely accepted, he redefines the terms of acceptance. One of the most important distinctions in understanding Jungkook's advantage is the difference in training systems. In the US, artists often emerge from talent shows, YouTube uploads, viral TikTok moments, or grassroots indie success. While this fosters originality, it does not guarantee performance uniformity. Many American artists are vocally strong but lack choreographic sophistication. Others are charismatic dancers but rely heavily on backing tracks during live singing. In contrast, Jungkook is a product of the K-pop trainee system, where singing, dancing, stage presence, and endurance are drilled relentlessly from a young age. Before debuting, Jungkook trained for years under a program designed to create performers capable of excelling in any environment. This training model emphasizes not just technical skills, but also discipline, the ability to deliver at the highest level, regardless of fatigue, venue, or pressure. For American audiences, who are accustomed to seeing artists sometimes lip-sync or deliver uneven live performances, Jungkook's stagecraft feels strikingly different. His precision in choreography, coupled with live vocals, is not the exception, it's his baseline standard. Jungkook's performance strength also lies in his natural ability to command attention, a quality sometimes referred to as the center of the stage effect. In BTS, he is often positioned as the main vocalist and one of the key dancers, balancing leadership presence with seamless integration into group dynamics. This experience trained him to hold focus without overshadowing others, a balance that translates well when performing solo. When US pop stars share the stage, many rely on backup dancers or elaborate stage design to maintain audience interest. Jungkook, however, doesn't need extensive distractions. Even with minimal staging, his ability to combine live singing, precise movement, and charisma is enough to dominate attention. This creates a contrast that American fans notice immediately. Where other artists may need spectacle, Jungkook delivers spectacle through his sheer execution. Performance mastery also means surviving the physical demands of complex choreography while maintaining vocal stability. In the US, it is common to see artists opt for simplified dance routines when singing live, or rely on pre-recorded tracks during heavily choreographed numbers. Jungkook challenges that norm by doing both simultaneously. A live performance of his work often includes intricate, high-energy choreography paired with stable, full-range singing. This is not only difficult, but requires conditioning that goes beyond typical Western performance training. Jungkook's ability to sustain energy throughout a 2-hour concert while delivering near-perfect live vocals is a skill set that most American artists are not trained to execute. It makes his shows feel not just entertaining but almost athletic performances as feats of endurance. Another layer of his performance mastery is stylistic flexibility. US pop stars often stick to specific genres or stage personas, but Jungkook adapts his performances to incorporate elements from different global traditions. He can shift from hip-hop-influenced choreography to contemporary pop dance, from R&B vocalization to rock-inspired staging. This versatility not only appeals to a broader audience but also highlights his technical skill. In America, where genre boundaries are blurring thanks to streaming culture, Jungkook's adaptability puts him in an advantageous position. He doesn't just cater to one niche. His performances feel tailored to multiple audiences simultaneously. This contrasts with many US artists, who either experiment occasionally or reinvent themselves completely between eras. Jungkook demonstrates that he can embody multiple performance traditions without losing coherence. Performance mastery for Jungkook also extends beyond singing and dancing. His body language, eye contact, and micro-expressions are studied by fans and critics alike. In K-pop, these subtler elements are treated as part of performance training. Artists learn to use facial expressions to match lyrics, interact with the camera, and communicate with live audiences. For US audiences, where many performers default to generic expressions or scripted gestures, Jungkook's level of detail feels novel and highly engaging.